Hey y'all, hope y'all are doing well. I am. Um, Today, better day. Today was a better day in class. Today had a different set of classes today. Um, I was right from the last video I did. They were more upper level classes. They were still lecture classes, but they were more upper level, so the people, I guess, were more mature. Um, so, but I entitled this "The Everything is 2D High" because of the fact that I ended up having to spend money on different things throughout the day, and it was just so expensive. I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm just complaining, but things are quite expensive here. So I guess I'll go down. I'll tell you about what happened today. So I got up and start walking to class. Class from this apartment is about a half an hour walk. The other people with me, they're all girls, so they all stay together, and they all went and bought their. Actually, no, they didn't. They just opted to pay to take the bus, and I was not going to pay to take the bus because that costs more. So I opted just to walk until I could get my Metro card, which would actually give me a cheaper fare on the buses and subways here in London. So I was walking and walking, and my sugar dropped. Actually, it was low to begin with, but I wanted to go get started to class, so I wouldn't be late, and I knew I could make it, so no worries there. And I stopped in a convenience store close to campus, walked in, and made a beeline for the bottled drinks because I didn't want a can, because I didn't know if I'd finish the can, and chances are I wouldn't have because I didn't even finish the bottle. But went in to the shop, got a can of Coke, which was 500 milliliters. If I'm correct, U.S. bottles of Coca-Cola are 750 milliliters. This bottle of Coke that I got here in London was £1.10. When you change that to American dollars, I think that's about $1.70, $1.80. I wouldn't even pay that much for a Coke that's 750 milliliters. So it boggled my mind to pay that much for less in my mind. But I paid it and kept it moving. I drank it. Sugar came up. All was well. The class I ended up going to was visual journalism, and it was much better than the political and current affairs class. There was a guest lecturer teaching us how to edit photos, and for anyone who knows me, you know I enjoy taking pictures. I always say something I wouldn't do as a career, but it's definitely a hobby. Um, so we learned how to do color corrections and bring out the densities and bring out kind of layers in pictures so it doesn't always look so flat. And in the class was full of foreign exchange students, which I would have preferred to have more British students, but it is okay. In the class, I was actually talking to a guy who's from Hong Kong who's studying here, which was really interesting, keeping with the everything is 2D high. Um, he was talking about how the money he paid to live here in a flat here would have, well, he got twice as much space as a flat in Hong Kong that he would have paid the same amount for. I feel like I'm confusing. So if he paid £500 a month here for a flat, the same £500 there would get him an apartment half the size of the one here, which I found was really interesting, but it makes sense because Hong Kong is such a densely populated place. I thought that was unfortunate, especially coming from America where things are way, way cheaper. But back to the story about class. Editing the picture went really well. I took a picture from when I was in Singapore, and by the time the man helped me with it, it did look better. It did look better. So I was glad about that. Wrote down the tips and tricks that I can use for my pictures later. When I left there, I went to international news, which was the class I was really excited about. Walked over there with a guy and his friend who from Hong Kong. Walked over there, didn't get to sit with them. I ended up sitting with my people from UNC. And interesting class. He was talking about the history of journalism and spreading information throughout history, and he gave out different facts about how long it took news to travel. Things like it took 2 months for news to get from Europe to America. And these are things that I knew, but to hear him say it just really shows how far we've really come. Unfortunately, he was sort of dry. What he was talking about was really interesting. We even played a game of telephone where you whisper in the person's ear and whisper it around, and then the last person shouts out some distorted version of what the first person said. But he to me was dry. But what he was talking about was really interesting. And the lecture was 2 hours. It was a long lecture. But everything here meets once a week, so things are going to be a bit longer. When I left International News, I came back here and got my SIM card for my phone. I got a Lebara SIM card and stuck it in the phone. That was not too expensive, so actually it does not go with the theme of this video because it was not that expensive. It was only £10, which is probably about $16, $17, so that was not too terrible. When I left there, I went to Sainsbury's, which is a grocery store, and bought some different things and bought a couple of juices that I'd never had before. I have to get back to you on the actual names of them because they're in the refrigerator right now. Bought some Goujon, I think that's what it's called, Goujon. They look like chicken tenders, and I got back and researched them and found that they actually are, but they're normally meant to be for fish. You would generally call a Goujon fish. But I bought chicken ones because I don't like fish. But haven't tried them yet. I bought some barbecue sauce, so we'll try to see how that goes. I noticed everything is labeled made with British this, made with British that. So the chicken was made, well, British chicken as opposed to just chicken. So we know it's British, and they have the little health thing, a little circle, a little pie chart that shows the different amounts like fat, sugars, carbs, things like that. And if it's green, you're good. If it's yellow, it's a little bit high. If it's red, it's actually too high. So a lot of the canned stuff has the red in the sodium, at least, because there's a lot of sodium in canned foods. So looking forward to trying that. But keeping with the theme of this video, I wanted to buy some salt, and the salt was £2.25 for something like this big, and I couldn't bring myself to pay that because that would be probably about close to $5 for a little thing of salt. That's like this big, not the big Mortons that we're used to getting, but a little thing like this. I will say it was the sea salt that you. So I was glad about that, but I could not bring myself to pay that. So I'll be seasoning with other things when I cook. But yeah. So as I said, today was a really good day. I hadn't planned on doing 2 videos back to back, but I guess that's just how the chips fell. Got a lot of work to do this week. Have to get ready for an interview that I have with the housing department back at UNC. So prayerfully that will go well. I feel like there's some work I ought to be doing for my classes, but I don't know exactly what it is because of the fact that the education system here is so radically different. In America, we're used to having professors saying, this thing needs to be done by this time and turn it in the next assignment. You do it by this time, you turn it in. Here, imagine all those assignments being bundled together in one and turned in at the very end of the year. That is the system here. And I think that's the system in Europe in general, but I don't want to be presumptuous and say that because I feel like someone will comment and call me out. So to keep that from happening, I would just say here at City University, well, not here at City University because I'm not on campus. At City University, that is the norm, where you have a huge assignment at the very end of the year versus little assignments throughout the semester. So there might actually be work that I ought to be doing or could be getting started on, but I gotta prepare for this interview, so we'll see what happens. Wish me luck, but that's it for today. It was a good day, so feel really good about it. Tomorrow I don't have class, so I'll be doing some exploring. Hopefully I'll be able to take and finally post some pictures. Maybe. We'll see. But in the meantime, thank you for your prayers and your thoughts and your comments on Facebook and Twitter and such. Pray for me and I'll be praying for y'all. Talk to y'all later.